closest we came to easing that conversation was we are recovering, we're turning the corner. And if somebody tells you we're turning the corner, it means that there's an acknowledgement of us having some difficulty. So that assertion cannot also be correct. I think if you're going to even compare governments, you realize that it is this government that has actually been honest to accept that we have challenges.
Are you sure you always told us that it was not your fault, it was Vladimir Putin's fault? And Ghanaians didn't know Vladimir Putin, they didn't care who Vladimir Putin was.
So you are saying two different things. Acknowledging that there are challenges or not acknowledging that there are challenges isn't the same as...
Then once you acknowledge, you attribute to somebody else.
Isn't the same as trying to explain what the causal issues are. They're not the same. So let's not confuse the two.
When people said things were hard, you either reminded them of the days when there was doom shop, where you had this coinage that the alternative was scarier. So as in, be content. In fact, to put it loosely, you were even boasting that Ghanaians should appreciate the fact that you are the ones in charge at this time, and that if you were not the ones in charge, it would have been worse. Now that's not an acknowledgement. The times you acknowledge to, you say to us that, oh, it's happening, you just said it now, that in the UK it's happening, in Australia it's happening, and that is Vladimir Putin who is causing all of these things. That's not an honest acknowledgement. When you acknowledge, you're supposed to acknowledge fully with your chest, like John Mahama did. Like John Mahama did with Doomsor. He said, yes, I've caused it, but I fixed it. But you, no.
So again, then I get confused, because like you move around in circles and come to the same place. So the point is this. You talk about acknowledging difficulties. And I'm saying that in all the conversations in our campaign, there has been absolute unconditional acknowledgement that we are in challenges. That is a different, so that's the first point, that's the first part. There is nowhere Dr. Bawumia ever said that, no, you're hungry, but no, you don't know, it's not true, you're hungry. There was an absolute acknowledgement of our challenges. He spoke about cost of living, he spoke about jobs, he spoke about cost of doing businesses, he spoke about how taxes and our tax regime is affecting business communities. He constantly spoke about that. That is an honest acknowledgement of the fact that there are difficulties. Now, if you're going to be honest, then you should also be honest about what the issues are, because the Ghanaian people deserve to know what the causal issues are. It will be dishonest on your part to try and shield the causal issues from the Ghanaian people. And so, is it not true that in 2020, between 2020 and 2024, the global economy went through crisis? That is honest admission of the issues. Is it not true that the COVID had a huge implication on the world economy and it affected countries at different scales? That is an honest admission of the issues. Is it not true that our trade partners, the Asian countries, the European countries, had some difficult economic challenges? The US had seen 40-year-old inflation, UK same. They were struggling with their labor issues, even basic goods to consume were issues. Germany were struggling with oil and flour. Those are facts. Isn't it a fact that these things affected our economy? That is true. So it is rather dishonest if you contend this honest truth of what the causal issues are. That is the second aspect of the conversation. That does not negate your acknowledgement, because beyond that, then Dr. Bawumia goes on to give proposals on how to deal with the difficulties. If you are not acknowledging the issues, why or how would you tailor propositions for these things? So we need to understand that it is difficult for you to be explaining to somebody why he's hungry. But once you admit and acknowledge that the person is hungry, you have fulfilled that concern you had. But the person is not open to you telling him why he's hungry. He just wants food. But it is nowhere close to dishonesty if you still go ahead to tell the person that the reason why you're hungry is because, and as a result of that, I am proposing to, let's be fair to the conversation in that
Let's go back to the issues. Was it a difficult campaign to prosecute? Now that you have finished the campaign, was it a difficult campaign to prosecute, to put Dr. Bawumia back in the Jubilee House?
Difficult in so many aspects. So first of all, you would realize that nobody no political party in this country has been able to do a third term. That one in itself is a first barrier. I mean, so by the time you hit the 8th term, you have a lot of things to contend with. In fact, I think we had a growing population of close to between 2.5 to 3 million who had never experienced your opponent. And so if they are going to appraise and make a decision, they're only making appraisal on you, and they have no way to compare. But election is about comparison and making a better choice. So you have to contend with that number. That's a huge task. For you to even be able to get the 18-year-old that was 8 years old during President Mohammed's first
was 10 years old, you know, when you took over.
For him to understand. So it was a difficult. And then you have to now contend with the issues of the economy, you know, where now you are dealing with an economic crisis. Cost of living has gone up. People cannot afford the basic things they used to afford. Prices have doubled and tripled, and you have to explain to people that yes, it's gone up, but still give it to me. I'm the one in office, but still give it to me, and when I come, I'll bring it down. It was a difficult. Does this slogan
NDC people kept repeating that my government is bad, but my government will be better? How were you able to maneuver your way out of that?
So it was an easy campaign for them. Very easy, you know, and it made it very difficult for us. Like you sort to find out. So because I mean, I am in government. The prices of cement have moved from 30 cedis to 95 cedis. The reasons why prices of cement have moved from 30 to 90 is hugely based on the forex. Right?
And you are in charge.
And I am in charge. And the reason why forex is the way it is based on because of the global economic challenges and difficulties. But I have a proposal on how to deal with it moving forward. I am contending against an opponent that is outside government, and all he's saying is that vote against him and let me come. He doesn't have to say anything else. He doesn't have to say anything else. All he has to say is that, and that is why that coinage was easy. He's the guy. Why are you still listening to him? If he has any solution, you should bring him now.
You attempted as a campaign, and I don't know if this is something you're going to admit, to decouple Dr. Bawumia, the candidate from Dr. Bawumia, the vice president in the Akufo-Addo government. How easy or difficult was that?
I think it's post-elections. Everybody would say it shouldn't be a big deal because that's the fact, that's the truth. But in the midst of the elections, your opponent will make it difficult for you, and I think they did actually make it difficult.
Why did you try to dissociate the associates?
No, I mean the vice president is not the president. That is the truth.
But it was also a difficult sell, a difficult message to put across.
And it becomes even more difficult when people are going through difficulties. You understand? So it's difficult. It was difficult. There's no two ways about it.
Do you not think that perhaps you shouldn't have used, with hindsight again, maybe you shouldn't have gone on that tangent where you were trying to separate Dr. Bawumia, the candidate, from Dr. Bawumia, the vice president and member of the Akufo-Addo government? Maybe you should have taken it whole and dealt with it.
But no, Dr. Bawumia is not Akufo-Addo. That would be dishonesty.
But it would be difficult to separate the two.
But you want honesty.
Yes.
So why do you look for honesty in other aspects?
Yes.
And you want to be dishonest? The fact is that
the reason it will be difficult and it will not be dishonest if you say it is the same is, you see, Dr. Bawumia was not just your typical running mate. He was a running mate with fire. Even his spouse or his wife was on that campaign trail of 2016, and we saw what she did. So people find it difficult to separate, especially when it was a ticket that went into the election together. And when Akufo-Addo said that he's a man who's going to run the government for me on the economy, he's a whiz kid and all of that. And when he's a man who did a press conference at a place not far from here, the College of Physicians and Surgeons, and said we had a man. You see, when all those things are put together, people would have it difficult believing that he's not Akufo-Addo.
So again, let's bring the conversation to our perspective. Dr. Bawumia never ran away from the government. There are two different things here.
Okay.
That is why in his manifesto, all his engagement, he always speaks about what we met in office, what we have achieved as a government, where we are, the challenges in bearing, and what his proposals are to deal with the challenges. So it was an impression that was created, but in actual sense, there's not a single evidence of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia running away from the government, not even one. Even when he did his February 7th nationwide address, you'd realize that 80% of it was actually dedicated to the performance of the government. It was 20% when he was proposing. Now, where we found ourselves in the difficulty was you outline a government performance. Everybody's listening. That one, they don't accuse you. Then, when you need to propose alternatives going into the future, you surely have to negate certain things, which even a certain president would do. Because you need to do an appraisal of your performance and know what you keep and what you... But in his proposals to probably deal with some of the things, I'll take this out, I'll take this out, people now perceive and interpret that as you are running away from the government. But 80% of Dr. Bawumia's campaign was hinged on the government's performance. That is true.
Did he have problems with his boss when he decided to go against his boss on some of the policies of the boss?
Because the boss knows that when you are president, you call your shots. No. Because Akufo-Addo has no such challenge. And Bawumia also has no such challenge. For example, if you ask the Ghanaian person why, or she give you 2 reasons why maybe you vote against an NPP government, they will mention National Cathedral, they will mention e-levy, they will mention bed tax. These are obvious things that Dr. Bawumia they don't agree with. But if he doesn't agree with that, doesn't necessarily make those things disappear in the government, he's not the president. Well, and then if he's going to become president, and he says that when I become president, I'm going to ensure that government doesn't spend its money to fund the National Cathedral, and that the churches and the religious bodies should fund it, and that when I become president, I'll scrap e-levy. And then obviously, it's easy for anybody to say, why are you campaigning against your own government?
When he did and said those things, did he not have problems with his boss?
No.
Was there no friction at all?
No, at all.
Akufo-Addo agreed with everything.
He doesn't have to agree.
He did have to
agree. No,
agree.
He doesn't have to agree. You're not the president, you're not the candidate. Akufo-Addo doesn't need to agree with Bawumia. If he had to agree with Bawumia, he wouldn't have passed e-levy when Bawumia disagreed with e-levy. So he doesn't have to agree. And we don't always have to agree to work together. Umaru, I don't think that you agree with Samens and Bernard and Omane and Ko at City on everything. But you haven't left City. It doesn't also mean that when you become general manager of City, you do almost everything Bernard is doing. Does it mean so? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying, that in the heat of an election, it's a very convenient argument for you to use it against Bawumia. But post-elections, deep down your heart, you know that there was nothing wrong for... In fact, it could even be Akufo-Addo even going for another term and
he
saying,
can disagree with himself.
Yes.
So it was not difficult for him to disagree and prosecute his campaign. Does it mean that he had the free will to do everything, run the campaign? He had his own machinery. Was Bawumia allowed to run everything the government allowed him?
Yes. I mean, the government doesn't run the campaign for the party. The government is here, the party is here. The party brought the government. When the party is campaigning, the party doesn't need the blessings of the government.
So everything Dr. Bawumia did was his own personal beliefs. That if I become president, this is what I will do.
But otherwise,
Akufo-Addo didn't have to.
Akufo-Addo is not Bawumia.
What about when he was going to concede? Did he have to call Akufo-Addo and say, "Listen, I've lost the team. I'm coming to concede"? Did he have to do that?
Why does Bawumia, the flag bearer, the candidate, have to go and call somebody to?
He's not just a somebody. He's the president. He's almost like a political godfather.
When you want to concede after an elections, whatever it is that you have to do to satisfy yourself, that's I'm satisfied, I have to consider, you have to do it. But you don't need anybody's permission or blessing before you do that. You don't.
Was it easy to decide that let's go and concede, or was it difficult?
Dr. Bawumia's sole decision, and he had very good reasons. He's the one that came up. I was there with him. He is the one that said, listen, the numbers are clear. This was around 3-something a.m. thereabout. He said it's clear. Now we have about 80-something% of coalition, or more. Whatever we have left, even if we bring it, it will not tilt it. So much tension. Remember that was about 3-4 hours after the NDC had called on their followers to invade coalition centers. So tension was building. We're already getting reports of coalition centers being attacked by NDC members. They were tearing pink sheets. Some of them were beating, etc. So if you are sitting in your coalition room as a responsible statesman, and you've seen from your figures, and NPP, we are one of the best coalition systems in the world. You have seen from your system that you have lost the elections. And even if you are giving all the rest that is left, it will still not let you cross the 50+1. And the person decides that, let me concede so that it will bring down the tension. So that the NPP person that is in Ahafo, Sutifi, who is fighting tooth and nail, thinking that
we know that it's over.
Exactly. And then it would also reduce the aggression from the NDC, thinking that they were beating people and maiming people for. We don't forget, one NPP person had died a few hours before that.
And one NDC person had also died in Tolong.
So why should that continue?
So
when is a
there was no opposition from the campaign when he said he was going to
No, but you can't oppose, he's the candidate.
Yeah, but you can still say that we are the ones who are prosecuting this.
No, you're not the candidate.
So nobody challenged it. You went to.
He doesn't. Even if you challenge that is. You see, the thing about teamwork is that you should expect disagreement. But that doesn't. It is what ultimately comes out that is the most important thing.
This is Face to Face on Channel Television. My name is Miracles Aboagye. My guest is Miracles Aboagye.